All right, third one of the day. Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I've heard that if you put up more than 2 videos within a 24-hour period or something, that YouTube doesn't promote your videos. But they don't promote mine anyway. They never have. So who cares? And I have a list so long of videos that I need to get to. If I don't start pumping out a couple, 3 a day, I'll never get to all of them. So I'm going to knock this one out because this is timely. This came out today. So this is to whoever it gets through, but it's a very important one. And I was looking at down through the feed, and something popped up from Canadian Prepper this morning that I want to talk about. And for newer people in the preparedness world, I want to caution you about something. I want to caution you about some channels talking badly about other channels. Now, there are some channels that I don't like, I'll be real honest with you. But everybody's out there doing their thing, and Canadian Prepper is one that has built a huge channel from his interest in preparedness, and he puts out a lot of good content. Other smaller channels will crack on him, I think, out of jealousy. And I haven't watched all of his, so I can't I can't state definitively, but all of us have some videos that are better than others, okay, or that appeal to some more than they appeal to others. And I think that's the case with Canadian Prepper. If you're new, I suggest you watch him. He came out with something today that was exactly on target, and it was a warning. He phrased it as a warning to real preppers, and his whole point was that the more prepared you are, he takes it from the macro to the meso to the from the micro to the meso to the macro preparedness. Starting small and then going through the intermediate stages, and then finally graduating to as close to self-sufficiency as you can get yourself. And his contention, and I believe he's right in this, is that the more prepared you are, the more you have developed the different aspects of self-sufficiency, the bigger the target you are. The greater the target you are, and the more you have to worry about. When you're a little guy out there just running around with your go bag, you're not much of a target, and you have a lot of mobility. And this is, I'm just repeating the points that he's making, and I agree with him on this. And so you're not, people aren't after you so much. When you get to the point of the intermediate of stockpiling this and that and having a lot of stuff, now you've made yourself a bigger target. Yes, you have. And then when you get to the next point of homesteading or whatever, to where you're not where you are creating, where you are providing, you're growing your own food, you're providing for your own, whatever, your own power, whatever. Now you have become a fairly large target for the more mobile or the marauders or such as that. And that now you experience, you have dangers. Now, if you're new to the channel, people always say, "You sound like you live on a busy street." Yeah, well, I live close to a busy street, and there's reasons for that, and good reasons for it that I explained before. Won't do so now, but I explain why I live exactly where I do and what our contingency plans are and things. That's not what this one's about. What this one is about is his point of the more self-sufficient you become, the real preppers, as some people consider themselves, or the real self-sufficients, you become more of a target. And that's true. But I think what a lot of people, and those who have developed their self-sufficiency to that point, excellent. I mean, that's what everyone should strive for. But I see that in most situations, most, not all, many situations, let me put it that way, where people have developed their self-sufficiency to that point, they're a little bit light on the defending of it, okay? And the understanding that they're going to have to not only defend what they have, but project their power beyond in order to preserve their safety and security. And I've talked about this before quite a bit, and he brought up great questions. I would suggest you watch, I don't have to link it, I might put the link to his over on, when I put this on Patreon, as I often do. When I put the same video on Patreon, I don't put links on YouTube, but I'll put them over on a Patreon so you can easily find it. If not, just go to Canadian Prepper, and I think it's titled Warning to Real Preppers. And he's exactly right on this. And I suggest everybody go watch that. Here's the thing. I have always been a proponent. Now, my first book came out in 2017. And if you're new to me or the channel, I've been involved in preparedness for over 50 years. I've written 6 books, a series of 6 novels. It's the Stonemont series on what I call the complete plan for preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a complete collapse of everything. In those books, in the very first book, The Reversion, I'll tell you how to get the books in a minute if you want them, if you don't have them. Thousands of people worldwide have been learning from these books since 2017. I answer pretty much, I explain all of these things that he addresses within the first 2 or 3 chapters of the very first book. Because these are the things that are important. Too many people limit themselves, and perhaps it's because of the limits of their understanding, or maybe they just haven't thought this far out. That's been my business for 50 years, thinking that far out, as to what it's going to take to assure your survival, your safety, your security in a total collapse of everything. Well, that's my business, and that's what I wrote about. And while providing for your needs of food, water, shelter, everything like that, while you're doing that, if you aren't putting in enough time, money, energy into expanding your defensive and then also, if necessary, offensive capabilities, you are just essentially preparing for somebody else. Okay, you are stockpiling stuff, you're growing stuff for somebody else to come in and take from you. And you don't want to do that, right? Because you're a good person. Right? And that's what I talk about in the novels of Stonemont. It's the story of a family who, as a result of their preparedness, were able to not just survive the total collapse of everything, but continue to live a high-quality life, and just as importantly, to help others. And they did this both by people who came to them and then actively went out and tried to help others and brought them into a community. And I explain why that's better than, you know, there's nothing wrong with, I mean, a lot of people have built groups now with the expectation of a need for, you know, community and preparedness for a collapse. Very often those fail. And I've talked about the reasons for their failure. I'm not going to get into that. Sometimes they don't. If they're held together mainly by faith, they have a tendency to do better, to do well. But even those that are brought together with faith sometimes fragment, and you know, there are issues within the groups and they fall apart. And the lessons that I teach in the Stonemont series are the need for a strong, prepared leadership, definite rules and expectations, helping people, discerning between the good and the bad, bringing the good in, protecting against the bad, all these things that Canadian Prepper brings up so well in his video today. So the message from this is, and I'll probably make another video on this, not today, but sometime, is that most of you need to prep bigger. Most of you need to prep bigger. And I think that I have, and I've discussed this with some of the members that I know personally here. And, you know, we're all very impressed with the high level of intelligence and experience and so many of our members and our viewers here, especially over on the Patreon side. And so I think that a lot of people here, do, again, especially on the Patreon side, have taken these steps or are headed in that direction. But I think a lot more of you out there need to prep bigger. I think that you have stunted your growth, as it were, in preparedness by really not projecting, not trying to understand what happens next, what happens next, what happens next. And that's the question that always has to be answered, pretty much in anything, but especially in preparedness. What next? Okay. How well am I prepared in these areas? How much more prepared do I need to be in these areas? Am I self-sufficient in an area? Is there an area that I'm really weak in, or several areas that I haven't really thought about? That's the purpose of my books, to get people to think about the areas that they haven't thought about. And you'd be surprised. You might have been in this for a while, but I've had people who have taught preparedness for many years after reading my book say, I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't thought about that. And it's simply because how long I've been doing this and the different careers that I've had in my life. And as I put them together, essentially, I wrote the first book, The Reversion, as kind of a textbook. Here's how to do it. But, textbooks are dry, and I wanted to put it in a story explaining, because the story explains why the different steps are necessary, right? It's a great story. and it teaches you so much. If you haven't read them, I'd suggest you do. First off, I'd suggest you go watch Canadian Prepper's video today, and then think about it. And if you want to go to the next step and you haven't yet, I would suggest the Stonemont series, my books, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. They're available. You can get them through Amazon. I'll put the link down below. You can get them on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or Audible. Audible is just going nuts. I had people after me for years, when are you going to have them on Audible? Well, finally they came out on Audible a couple of months ago, and it's just blowing the numbers out. Or you can get them directly from me. You can only get them in paperback from me, and through our website, stonemont.us. However, there is a way. I do read the Audible on the Stonemont level of our Patreon channel. And I was surprised when I started doing that, but then when they came out in Audible, I thought, well, these readers do a pretty good job. Maybe people don't need me reading it. But I had a lot of our viewers contact me and say, I really like the way you read it instead. We want to hear it in your voice, because they say that when they read the books, they picture Jim, who is the main male character, Jim Wyatt. Well, he's kind of my alter ego. I will admit that. And they hear my voice and things like that. So if you'd like to hear me read it, you can do that, joining us over on the Patreon channel on the Stonemont level. That's the second level. And I think I'm going to put up, I'm about to put up channel 20, if I'm not mistaken, 19 or 20, in the second book, The Revival. So that's really the lesson. But if you don't know how to get to us on Patreon, sorry I didn't mention this, the link is right down below in the information box. That's where all the links are. Patreon channel, our website, stonemont.us. You can also get all the Stonemont mugs and stuff like that over there, and t-shirts. Stonemont really is a community, and it's a world, and it's a world of learning. It's a world where preparedness is illustrated through the story of how a collapse, and about people. I spent most of my life dealing with bad people. That's how I know. And also being surrounded by good people. That's how I know. So pick them up, read them. You'll love the story, like I say, but you will learn a lot out of it. And the big lesson here is, most of you need to be prepping bigger than you are. We have so many things coming at us all the time. We don't know which one of them is going to be the big one, right? Well, we don't know it wasn't the eclipse, because the last one in the 1800s, the crossed eclipse preceded the New Madrid fault going several months later, and if that happened today, that would take out, no, there would be millions dead east of the Mississippi. Take all these things seriously. Don't let them, ruin your day or ruin your life, but say, I have responsibility for taking care of myself and those who depend on me, and I'm going to do it, and here's how I'm going to do it, and if you need a little help knowing how to do it, that's what this channel and my books are for. But prep bigger. Prep in all the areas. Search out the areas you're weak in, and don't be complacent, and don't be satisfied with a low-level preparedness. You will see comments both on this channel and other channels from those people who will kind of say, well, if all going to happen, it's going to happen. Well, okay, if you want that defeatist attitude, that's on you, but you don't want that. Okay, the human spirit wants to live. The human spirit wants to do better, wants to grow. It wants to continue on this great life the good Lord has given us. And you'll hear people say, well, you can't prepare beyond your total preparedness is no, it's impossible. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's impossible for them because they won't put in the work. But don't you be like that. Get out there and do something every day. That's what I always recommend. Do something every day. And remember what we always say at the end of this, and that is we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And you're going to live tomorrow however you prepare to live, not a bit better, usually. And sometimes not quite as well, depending on what the world throws at you. So much better to be over-prepared than under, right? Okay, you all have a good day. Remember, check out Canadian Prepper's video. He's got good points on that. Come visit us on the Patreon channel. And if you haven't read the books, get into the Stonemont series. You will learn more than you can imagine while enjoying a story that you will love. Okay, you all have a good day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.